Let's do a self-exploration on Atmanirvriti Chapter 3, Tasting. For this self-exploration meditation, you will need a fruit or any other food item that you can taste. Place the fruit in front of you. Let's close our eyes. Let's sit comfortably and relax. Relax the whole body. Empty the mind of all its noise. This is not the time for any thought, feeling, sensation, or perception. Empty out the mind like you would empty out a room you need to remodel. Relax and sink into the emptiness of your own mind. Keeping your eyes closed, pick up the fruit and take a small bite of it. Be fully attentive to the flavor of the fruit. In your direct experience, devoid of deductive logic, devoid of assumptions, devoid of conditioning of past experience of this fruit. In your direct experience of the flavor right now, does the flavor of the fruit have an independent existence apart from tasting? Tasting appears, flavor appears. Tasting disappears, flavor disappears. In your direct experience, does the flavor have an independent existence apart from tasting? The flavor is no more there. You have stopped tasting now. Do you notice that when tasting disappears, flavor disappears? Let's experiment again. Again, take a small bite of the fruit and experience the flavor. Drop all past conditioning, drop all logic, all assumptions. In your plain, direct experience, does the flavor have an independent existence apart from tasting? Now let's stop eating the fruit. Keep it aside. Without eating the fruit, imagine the flavor. You can imagine by bringing back the memory of the last bite you had. In your imagination, does the flavor have an independent existence apart from tasting? Can you separate the flavor from tasting? Can you draw a line where tasting ends and flavor begins? An untasted flavor is never experienced, not in imagination, not even in dream. Do you realize that tasting cannot be separated from flavor? Flavor cannot be separated from tasting. Flavor is tasting itself. Investigate what is it that tasting is made up of. Is tasting different from knowing? Is knowing different from being aware? Is being aware different from witnessing? Notice that tasting cannot be separated from the awareness to which it arises. Tasting cannot be separated from the knowingness that knows it. Tasting cannot be separated from the consciousness that is conscious of it. Tasting cannot be separated from the witness that witnesses it. Can you draw a line where awareness stops and tasting begins? Can you draw a line where knowingness stops and tasting begins? Can you draw a line where witnessing stops and tasting begins? Can you draw a line where consciousness stops and tasting begins? Do you realize that tasting or sensing cannot be separated from consciousness? Consciousness cannot be separated from tasting or sensing. Consciousness is tasting or sensing itself. Tasting, sensing itself is consciousness. Awareness, knowingness, consciousness, witnessing are simply synonyms for the same absolute reality. You are perceiving nothing but the absolute reality right now. Can the illusion of the flavor of a fruit exist hereafter? Can the illusion of a world exist hereafter?